Traditions and customs are national treasure. Kazakh people observe traditions over many centuries. The Great Steppe is an amulet of the country. You can watch the customs and traditions of the Kazakhs in the Modern Nomads program.
Осы Kokpar жайында ең бірінші жазған орыстың генералы Ермолов деген кісі Қазақстан жеріне келіп, сонда әгіні Kokpar'ды көріп, сондай сүйсінгені соншалық соны.
The first time the Kokpar national game was mentioned by Russian General Yermolov. When he visited Kazakh land for the first time, he saw this game and was very impressed. Under the influence of what he saw in 1843, he wrote an article to the National History magazine and entitled it as The National Games of Kyrgyz Kaysaks on a Horse. He worked in military service. In that period, Kazakh people were called as Kyrgyz Kaysaks. First of all, to participate in this game, a man should be a good rider on a horse. Also, he should be strong, must have power in his hands and the power of his knees. The general was surprised at these qualities of the rider and published his article.
Қол күші, тақым күші бәрі мықты болу керек. Соның жаңағы ана кісі сол өзі таң қалған күйменен сондай жазған екен осыны.
Kokpar was originally considered as the oldest military commandment of nomadic Kazakhs, intended for fighting between riders. The history of the Kazakh national game Kokpar starts from the time when Kazakhs were nomadic. Kokpar is a competition where one can show his strength, agility, and the ability to stay in the saddle well. This game is included in the elements of military training. On the day of the competition, all participants and spectators gathered on the field. At a distance of 50 to 60 paces from the competitors, the carcass of a goat is rushed and the fight for Kokpar begins. The game could go from lunch until evening. The village which would eventually fight the Kokpar is the winner. Kokpar is very popular in our days.
Сүйінбай ақынның сөзі бар ғой. Бөрілі менің байрағым, бөрілі байрақ көтерсе.
The word of Kokpar originated from the word Kokbori, which means gray wolf. Our great musician Suinbai wrote in his song the following words: The wolf is depicted on my flag, and when it reaches the sky, my spirit will reach the sky with it. The word Kokbori is a very ancient word since ancient Turkic times. Kazakhs consider the wolf as a sacred animal. The skin of the wolf was hanged on the wall of the yurt in a conspicuous place, and it should not be put on the floor or under the feet. The Kazakhs also did not allow to throw it. In addition, the word Kokbori was titled the Army Guard of the ancient Turkic Khaganat. The army included the most powerful warriors. There was a game among the equestrian warriors as they trained every day. Kokpar game appeared in those times. This is one version. The warriors divided in two teams and demonstrated their skills, strength, such as the wolf, and braveness as well.
Kokpar'da сондай шыдамдылықты, ерлікті, өрлікті көрсететін осы ойын деп айтамыз.
Ahmet Toktabay is an ethnographer who mastered the research of horse breeding for many years. He is a specialist in Kazakh horse breeding culture, knows all traditions about horses and the national Kokpar game. Kokpar is one of the most important traditions to the horses. When I talked with horse breeders, they told me these gray wolves are enemies of the cattle. Wolves were sworn enemies of the nomads of Kazakhstan. They attacked horses, sheep, and sometimes even hunters in their homes. If a hunter or anyone else managed to kill a wolf, he was to deliver the head of the animal to the tribal leader and give the beheaded carcass to the people to be flayed. Flaying the body of the wolf was a symbolic victory over the animals that constituted such a threat to the Kazakh livestock, which, of course, represented the difference between full bellies and starvation, between surviving the winter or freezing. Wolves were the worst enemies of the nomads because they could cause great damage to their livestock. Thus, killing a wolf was considered as great success and joyfulness. The head of the wolf was brought to the strips and the carcass for the gathered public to tear to pieces. Accordingly, the battle between guys often takes place who will carry the head. Such battles soon turned into a game. The wolf sometimes was replaced with a goat carcass, I think the first version is correct, but was left from the ancient Turkic period. Kazakh toy and festivals conducted with a Kokpar game. This game is an ornament of the celebration. All people like to watch the game. In the old days, whole auls played Kokpar. The Kazakh national game Kokpar took a great and important role in the life of Kazakh people. Two groups of riders take part in this game. There was a goat carcass, Kokpar, at a distance of 50 to 60 steps from competitors. Who first picks up the carcass up from the ground, the other horseman had to take it. This struggle between the players continued until the evening. If two groups participated in Kokpar, the winner is the team whose player reaches the finish line first. In this competition, horsemen demonstrated agility, strength, accuracy, and the ability to stay in the saddle. This game is very interesting. There can be two different teams from two villages. This is a struggle on horseback for a goat carcass. One of the riders gallops off with the head of the dead goat. Then others of the team set off after him. To win, they need a swift horse to catch up to the rider with the goat, and they must also be skilled and experienced horsemen. This sport also demands the strength to be able to snatch away the carcass and the agility to slip away from the other competitors and to be the first to gallop across the finishing line. The day of the contest, the horse riders at the command "Go" rush to the goat's carcass lying at the distance of 50 to 60 steps away from them. It is played in the open steppe over an extended area. Goals are set up on opposite sides of a large field. The symbolic goat's carcass should be thrown there. Members of each team fight to possess that carcass. As a rule, the winners brought Kokpar to an honored Aksakal's yurt. Sometimes during Kokpar there happened injuries and lethal things. However, pride and ardor make contestants forget about the danger. In ancient times, experienced Kokpar players could drag their opponent away together with his horse. This kind of game where horse riders took part had special training. Winners of Kokpar usually received rich rewards. The Kokpar game requires strong health. There are tests of strength, endurance, agility, and the ability to stay in the saddle, accuracy, and reaction speed. The average goat carcass weighs between 30 to 60 kilograms. Imagine how fit the players need to be. In Kokpar, pretty much anything goes as long as you hold on to the carcass and don't let your opponents get it. But one rule is that you can't tie it to yourself or your horse. A horse rider should be able to carry 70 to 80 kilograms or even a 100-kilogram goat. A participant of Kokpar game should be brave, and it's necessary to be calm. Kokpar is interesting, and from the other side, it's a dangerous game. During the game, a participant can fall from his horse. Kazakh elders gave their blessings before the game would start. That's why participants should be brave and strong enough. First of all, he trusts himself and then to his horse. This game developed very well among nomad people as Kazakhs, Kyrgyz, and Uzbeks. The game that was organized between Kazakhs and Kyrgyz reached 1,000 participants. Such a Kokpar game continued for several days. It had its own reason. The participants of the ancient time took a goat from one house to another and also have taken a new goat to the game.
Қазақтың көкпары мен қырғыздың көкпарының арасында ешқандай айырмашылық жоқ. Бұл өзі қазақ қырғыз ежелден өзі төсекке басы төскейге балы қосылған адам.
There's not any difference between Kazakh and Kyrgyz versions of the Kokpar game. These two nations have a lot of similarity in cattle breeding as well. That's why the rules riding a horse during the Kokpar game is similar to each other. There is a Ulak Tartu game in the Tajik nation. They do not play with such big goats as we do. Our 4 to 5-year-old goats weigh up to 70 to 80 kilograms. Only a strong man is able to throw them into the distance. The Tajik word Ulak Tartu was formed from the word goatling. The expression Ulak Tartu means fighting for small lambs. Uzbeks have the same game of Ulak Tartu. It is also similar to Kokpar. In Uzbekistan, especially in the south of the country, Kashgar, Darya, and Sukhan Darya regions in the town of Jdil Baisin live our relatives. As Konirats and Naimans, their Kokpar game does not differ from the Kazakh Kokpar. I visited these regions and saw the game.
Өзбекстанның оңтүстігінде ол жақта өзі дәстүрлі түрде ол жиделі байсын дейді, біздің өзі қандастарымыз тұрады. Қоңыраттар, наймандар, солар тұрады. Бұларда жаңағы қазақ көкпарынан көп айырмашылық жоқ. Мен өзім болдым ол жақта.
The Kokpar game was widely spread among the nations of Central Asia. This game was called in the Kyrgyz language as Kokbori, or Grey Wolf, or Ulak Tartish, in the Tajik language, Bus Kashi. This national equestrian game is Kokpar also played among Eastern people. For example, Afghanistan titled the game as Buzavish Oynin. It is very similar to the Kokpar. The Argentine people also had a horse racing game similar to Kokpar.
Ауған халқындағы көкпар ол енді о жақтан көшпелі өзбектер болды ғой.
The Afghan people also play Kokpar. There lived nomadic Uzbeks, our relatives, the nomadic Uzbeks who moved to Afghanistan. Owing to them, the Kokpar game was played among horse riders. Adai tribes moved to the western Kazakhstan. They also played Kokpar. Constantly, Kazakhs, Uzbeks, and Tajiks have a single rule. The Kokpar game should not be played at the first and the second days of the week, regarding to the rule. It is an unwritten law. Why? There is a superstition if the game will be played on the first or second day of the week, then a disaster can happen. Kokpar is a game of strong jigits and wrestlers. As a rule, the competition with their participation is very interesting and exciting. In old times in the Kazakh society, the participants of the Kokpar game, in order to check their own power and strength of their horse, took part in the Kokpar competition. The legends about such a game stayed in the memory of people. There are informations as besides lamb, there was a 1-year-old calf, although taking away a calf in the Kokpar game was not continued in this step.
Қазақта мына тайынша тарту деген бар. Тайынша өгізше тарту деген бар. Ол қалай болады? Енді оны жаңағы додаға салмайды. Осындай жаңағы той иесі жаңағы.
Another singularity of the Kazakh Kokpar is fighting for a 1-year-old calf. The calf is played in a different way. The owner of the calf brings it to the players, and the strong player was able to take and carry it. Once in the Taldygogan region, one jigit carried out in Kokpar as a prize. When the calf was thrown into the circle, it was considered that anyone would dare to pick it up and take it with himself. But one of the jigits asked, "Make a puncture on the calf's legs in 2 places." And then the guy and the horse with all his power hit the calf with his whip and raised the calf upright. The horse was not able to carry both of them. The guy slowly rode the horse and he threw the calf at the feet of the head of the collective farm. The other guys who were surrounding him took the calf and was taken for the Kokpar game. The weight of the calf usually is up to 100 or even up to 150 kilograms. Here we see there was organized such kind of Kokpar game, which showed the opportunity to demonstrate the man's agility and power.
Тайыншаның өз салмағы кемінде 100 килограммнан 150 килограммға дейін барады өгізшен. Осындай тартыстар болған. Бұл енді сондай бір адамның күшін көрсету үшін.
Ilgeride Kokpar'da kış кездерінде тартқан ол Kokpar'ga tartılатын attı.
In ancient times, the Kokpar was conducted in the winter. The horse started to train for Kokpar in the summer. Usually in July, they had additional feeding, developed muscles, and in winter, they were allowed to participate in Kokpar. There's a wide variety of the Kokpar game. For example, Olmez Kokpar. Olmez Kokpar was formed from the word Olmisin, let it live. It was played every Sunday. For example, in the southern regions of the country, in Shymkent and Jambul regions, Kizloorda and Almaty regions, this Kokpar was played every Sunday. Olmez Kokpar was played in the form of a relay race. There is a Bata Kokpar. It is also called as Bate Kokpar. The game starts with a blessing. For example, during the Bate Kokpar, one guy should marry. Or someone who has not children for 5 to 6 years also comes to this Kokpar game for the blessing of the people who organize the Kokpar. For example, a sportsman, Mukhtar Khan Dildabekov, during his marriage organized the Kokpar game. When his son was born, he organized a second Kokpar. He was the first to spend such a large amount on both Kokpar games. Why? Because he's a silver prize winner of the Olympic sport game and a sportsman is a good rider. He wanted to conduct a Kokpar for the gratitude and to receive a blessing of the Bata Kokpar.
Елінде Олимпиаданың күміс жүлдегері болғаны кейін, өз шабандоз болғаны кейін, елдерге беріп, солардың ризалығын білдірейін. Неғылайын деп сондай жасап, бұл бәте Kokpar, батасын алатынды.
There are several types of Kokpar games. We know them as the following: Japai Tartu, Utis Kokpar, Doda Kokpar, Aynalma Kokpar, Finish Kokpar, Takim Tartis. All of them are saved in our days. There are own rules of these Kokpar games. The participants of the game during the match agree on their actions and establish their own rules. This trend has continued in our time, but the Kokpar game developed in different regions in different ways.
Мәре Kokpar деген енді ол жағы бір нені алып, Kokpar'da алып шауып кетеді де, сондай бір анандай жер қарақшы ма тігіледі, белгі.
Finnish Kokpar has its own rule that the goat should be thrown in the house of a respected person or in someone's yard. How many people are running on their horses? Only the horses which are strong and prepared are able to run. In general, the horse for the Kokpar game is prepared separately. It should be trained. When the horse joins the group of other horses, it should be a strong horse. The saddle and horse harness should be special for the Kokpar game. A saddle made from the root of a birch. The Kazakhs who live in Mongolia and China call it kainin toshni. The root of the birch is stronger than iron. This kind of saddle will not break during the game, and the saddle is wrapped around with camel's leather. There was nothing stronger than this saddle.
Темірден де артық қана қатты болады. Сонда Kokpar'дың ері ешқандай жаңағы додаға түскенде ол сынып кетпейтіндей, жарылып кетпейтіндей болып, соны сыртынан немен түйенің көн төрісімен қаптап тастайды. Осындай мықты болған ие.
Kokpar is a sport game and very useful for human health. This game, the players are very patient. They have a special way of thinking ability and making a decision in a quick way. They walk confidently and their movements are fast, as they are skilled horse riders. The Kokpar players become close friends. Kazakh sport games became traditions. We have games as Kokpar, Kuz, Ku, Jambu, Atu. All participants of these games are skilled riders, fast riders, and well-trained archers. The national games are a sign of national consciousness and national ideology. That's why Kazakh Jigits are trained since their childhood, as they want to be strong and brave. When we went to the expedition to the areas where Kazakhs lived on the territory of China and Mongolia, they said Kazakh children started to train at the age of 2 to 3 years to participate in the Kokpar game. You can ask, how did they train? Children of these years all rode the calves. At the age of 4 to 5, children started to play in calves Kokpar game. And they played with leather of the cattle between each other. This kind of game I observed in the Altai territory of China. This game of Kokpar is called Tulak Tartu. But we forgot about this game, Tulak Tartu. We even do not have such a terminology in our language. And what I want to say is that a child from early childhood, since they're 2 years old, starts to prepare for Kokpar. To become a real player in Kokpar, a child should reach 16 to 17 years old when the young man gets stronger and his bones grow stronger and muscles as well. While adults competed in the Kokpar, children were sitting on their calves and fought for the tulak. It was an unforgettable picture. I was very pleased, as it was a great pleasure to watch them.